eric.com. Let's take a look at the worst type of negative divergence in a stock. And here we can see an example where a stock did make a move to new highs on this 2-year weekly chart. So we see an improvement in prices here. While the prices were making higher highs over time, we can see that the RSI did respond by forming a straight line down. And here we see a perfect example for what I call the worst type of negative divergence, because the RSI did not move above 61.8 while the stock was making this most recent high. So this is what I call the worst type of negative divergence, because what happens after that is that a stock does tend to react negatively, and in fact sometimes leads to some sizable moves lower. So here we can see a perfect example. It's a live chart. Let's see what happens here, but I would speculate over time that this one is probably gonna struggle to make new highs again because of this negative divergence where prices made new highs on a weekly basis, but the RSI failed to move above 61.8. Another thing here to consider is here we can see that the stock is failing to hold the current breakout from last week. So that breakout is failing, and as long as the stock closed above that and now is back below the breakout level, that makes this a failed breakout. So one can also look at the aspect of a failed breakout and suspect that here we might see lower prices unless the stock can reclaim the level back above this previous closing high. Let's call it on a weekly chart at about just slightly above $33. You can also see that on the monthly chart seems to be a failed breakout right now because the stock is back below this level here, and so the breakout from last month is now in question, having closed above it and now moving back below it again. This happens to be at about $32, which was the previous monthly closing high here for late 2015. So because of failed weekly breakout and a failed monthly breakout, that also corresponding with the negative divergence, which in my opinion is the worst type of negative divergence, one can speculate here that we can watch this to see whether we can get a live learning example of what happens when all these negative things are all in sync, suggesting more than likely that it makes sense now for the stock to stage a massive pullback. eric.com, as always, good luck, peace, and blessings. ERCS.